When playing card games, paradoxically, the thing that you're trying to do least with your opponent is actually interact and play a back and forth game with them. OTKs generally are the most preferred strategy for people trying to win and do their very best. But despite that, they are the least fun to be on the other side of the table with. So why is it that OTKs sometimes can draw so much attention, but the positive kind? Just this past weekend at YCS Indianapolis, we saw Jeffrey Leonard pull off the Exodia OTK to massive fanfare, just a historic moment.
Oh boy, another leg. One more piece. The crowd is chanting, one more piece. This is a historical moment here in Indianapolis. Oh my goodness.
It has been an honor to sit in the booth and watch Jeffrey in games 1 and 3.
Appaloosa?
Oh, just for the extra bet, just in case. Just in case. We're going to go into Appaloosa at the end of this.
This is clean. This is very clean. We got the other arm. And all 5 pieces have been assembled. The legs, the arms, the head. Exodia obliterate.
Unbelievable.
Wow, the crowd goes insane. This is the kind of feature match we love to see.
This is one of the most iconic events.
And it got me thinking. This was actually part of a different video where I was going to be talking about how DigiXros is just the Digimon mechanic of all time. Not the greatest, not the worst, but the mechanic of all time. And Exodia kind of came to mind. I was thinking, does Digimon have its own Exodia? We don't have anything that's an instant win con yet, but we got something close. And it's all stapled together with, of course, someone's favorite mechanic, DigiXros. And the name of that Digimon isn't Exodia, but instead Dorbickmon. Now, if you're new to the channel, you may not have seen it, but we do have a deck profile here on Dorbickmon from our very own Derek Lamb's 10th place finish at the OPE regional. It was a BT12 regional, where he's able to take it to 10th place, only losing to all 4 Digimon, and was the highest placing other player there. And his list was very, very greedy, and still, despite getting 10th place, could have been optimized further. I know he's building something, but I just wanted to go with a quick rundown to see what, theoretically, consistency aside, or maybe even consistency included, what is the theoretical greediest Dorbickmon list you could have? How is it you can ask someone if they want to go first or second in the next game by having a game plan that exists of have a hand simply this big? So without further ado, let's get into not quite a deck profile, but more of a breakdown as to how you can build Dorbickmon as greedy as possible.
2 Lightning Joust. No one ever runs this, but this is the best card. Plus 2k and plus a security check.
The messed up thing about the Lightning Joust is
oh my god, the Dorbick inherently gives you a memory when you kill something means you can joust with the same person.
It happens to be
Why is this actually a really well put together deck?
Okay, so I was on the receiving end of the Lightning Joust. Okay, let me explain. So when you think Dorbickmon, they'll have like 3-4 checks, right? But the Joust makes up for the check, and like realistically speaking, if they're trying to aggro you down, they're gonna chip the Dorbick player, so the Joust is like always live, so he can make up for the security check if he's missing on one of the inherits with the Joust, and it kind of pull off guard because they go, I have to kill Dorbick, and then oh, Lightning Joust, and you just die, and then he goes Lightning Joust, Delicate Plot, it's wraps. It's
season finale, you're done.
You are going to hell to super hell.
I would say, pot agree.
Oh dear. Okay, so with this, we now have the 50 card list that Derek used to get 10th at the regional. You would have seen the little experts of me trying to find that. You should go watch that video, by the way. It still holds up because Dorbick is Dorbick, and no matter what format you're playing in, this deck is ignorant, and you can simply just run these 50 cards and you'll probably find success. He has messed around with a couple of other things. So the thing I kind of wanted to talk about today is how much draw you can fish out of this deck versus how cheap you can make the cost. Because the ideal Dorbickmon, you DigiXros -2 for each of them, so you're putting 5 sources underneath to make the 13 cost now cost 3, and then you obviously get to on-play delete something. So the intended use case is you have a hero, or they pass you 3, and then you Dorbickmon with the correct sources, and you swing, unsuspend, swing, and then maybe you have a rookie push out for game or something like that. Or you know, You put a Blitz Omni on top and pass turn and see if they scoop. Fun fact, Blitz Omni does not, like this card has rush, it does not give rush. Therefore, Blitz Omni cannot swing the same turn, but Blitz Omni is an unsuspended, unremovable target. So you can just put Blitz Omni on top of it. We actually changed it to the Omni X because Derek did not feel like giving people the option to scoop and instead would just kill them dead. But I think if you do really want to get proper value out of the Omni X, we do need to fit in an X antibody, stuff like that. But yeah, this is the main card, Dorbickmon. Absolute nuisance. It has been errated. Yeah, this is the errated version that says like Dragon, Saw, Ceratopsian. Basically anything dinosaur adjacent can go under Dorbick. So this is the list that he used. You have 4 of the draw Gilmon, the promo one, because that plus the egg is draw 2, which as if you check the deck profile, you'll see Pot of Greed is basically Derek's mantra for this. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the deck builder and we are going to just sort out as many draw 2s as we can. Gilmon and the promo one. That right there facilitates draw 2. Gilmon X antibody is there to pop Bloodgates, like your Psychmons, if your Gilmon doesn't die in security, or if you recognize that you don't need the draw power anymore and you just need Psychmon dead, Gilmon. So Gilmon X is quite useful there. It's not like super necessary, but is a nice to have, especially since there are a lot more decks that are playing play cost blockers to try and shut down Crossheart, to try and shut down Belphemon, and some other things like that. So it's worth being aware that Dorbickmon is a DigiXros deck, and whilst it's not the DigiXros deck to hit, it can still get soloed by the cards designed to shut down other archetypes. In terms of other draw power, for Quadramon, it's a draw 2 out of security, or sometimes you just play it for 6 and eat the cost of a 6 cost pass. Especially if you have a memory tamer out, you really don't care about passing people too much memory. If you want to improve your security though, there is the blue Comon. So I was running a blue Dorbick that made use of this because if a source gets trash, gain 1. Not going to come up in red Dorbick because you're not stripping sources, but the security one, instead the promo, again, it's just draw 2, then add it to hand, and it is a dragon. So at the end of the day, you can use it as a Dorbick source, which I think at least makes it a 2 of. You could potentially run it as 4, so you have like 8 things that come out of security and just blow stuff up. But with draw power, the main thing, he was using Hero of the Skies because it's a draw 2, and then Fireball because it's also a draw 2. Fireball does also clear Psychmons, etc., so you can use it, but sometimes you just need to guarantee the draw 2, and I think running this as a 4 of, Derek's idea is that obviously Pot of Greed in Yu-Gi-Oh, when it was unlimited, effectively made a 40 card deck a 37 card deck. So why not apply the same thing to Digimon, where it's 50 cards, of which 5 are in your opening hand, 5 are in your security, and you've only got 40 left to play with. Why don't you just run as many draw 2s as possible so you only are running like a 35 card deck or something ridiculous like that? Like these Quadramons, they're draw 2s, but they don't really represent too much out of that. If you see them in security, 3+2. Same goes for the blue Kokomon. These 8 cards all draw 2. And for 2 cost as well. So sometimes they pass you 3 and you're not doing a Dorbick turn, you go draw 2, draw 2. Or it's like push out, swing, draw 2, draw 2, draw 2. Like you just went through so much of your deck for no thought process whatsoever. But then again, there is also the Sec +1. You may notice that there is a glaring issue. We have the Gilmon. There's no Growlmon here. Every card that he ran in the toolbox that was intended to go under Dorbick was basically a 2 of, or 2 of Volk, 2 of Jazzerich, 2 of Lavo, 2 of Majira, 2 of Master Tyrannomon, 2 of Greymon. And we're going to do the same there just because helps you see it consistently, and because you can only put different names, you don't want to accidentally draw into the second one. Okay, so in doing this, we've effectively got the exact same set of lists from before. So Dorbick naturally has just that 1 check. Greymon puts us 2, Master Tyrannomon puts us 3. You're now guaranteed to clear over half their security. This is 4, this is 5. You need it. Actually, no, that's gain of memory. And Jazzerich is the 5th check. So theoretically, you know, you can just swing for all their security with no options if once you put ADP down, unsuspend a Majira, and that is game. But more often than not, you're usually doing the 2 checks. You're usually doing like the 2 or 3 checks, unsuspend, do the final checks, and you have to find the last one. So that's why we have to try and see how we can make things a little bit cleaner. As I kind of said before, Lavagritamon does give you back the memory once you have an on-play. If you have an on-play, once an opponent's Digimon is deleted. But why settle for just that when you can go for Growlmon? This was something that we were trying to convince him to put in, and he just refused. And we don't really know why, because this Growlmon would make it so Dorbick comes down for 1 cost. Lava gives you the 1 on the pop, Growlmon gives you the 1 on the pop. You don't need to waste time with Takata or anything else that gives you the extra pop, just take the memory. So now someone could theoretically pass you 1 with a single body on board, and you go, GG's. So we have the Growlmon here. It's possible you could bump this up to a 3. You can see the toolbox section is starting to widen out a little bit more. But I also got curious, what other 1-ofs can we put? Of course, we need the Lightning Joust because Lightning Joust adds itself to hand. And the nice thing about Lightning Joust adding itself to hand and also not being a Digimon is you can just pick it up. You can just pick it up and people aren't ready for it. You could run Boost or you could run Trainings, but you're not Digivolving, so Trainings is pretty redundant, with the exception of Trainings being able to help you find your option cards, whereas Boosts are just going to bottom deck them. But realistically, you shouldn't have to boost for your things because look how much draw power we have without having to commit a body to board or any searches like that. One of the other memory inherits that I think that we could add in is going to be the Metal Greymon from BT7. It's not a super popular card, but just theoretically, there were some other things that when you swing at security and you actually hit security, you gain back memory, but that doesn't help in terms of making your Dorbick cheaper. The thing I'm mostly trying to see if you can do is if you can make Dorbick as dummy cheap as possible. And I think something like that is quite useful. So adding in another toolbox where you can make another thing cost 1, it does mean if you're missing the Lavo, you can also bring it back. But now theoretically, even if you didn't have a bazillion checks, like now you could have an optimal stack of Growlmon, Metal Greymon, Lavo, and then Sec +1, Sec +1. So you'd be swinging for 3 checks. Well, okay, Sec +1 plus unsuspend. You'd be swinging for 2 checks with an unsuspend, but if you've played Dorbick for 3, pop something and gain back 3, you've paid nothing. And they have to legally pass you 1 memory, and 1 memory is enough for Lightning Joust. So you can now, Dorbick for 0, Joust pushes you up to that 3 check threshold, and now you can go check, check, and blow everything up. And if they pass you 2, then that's Joust, ADP, GG's. But like we did say, there is the Omni X as well. And also the nice thing about Metal Greymon is it doesn't require you to have the on play, and it doesn't require your Sec +1, for example, on like a Jazzerich isn't like that will disappear if you warp into the Omni X because you'll lose your on play, so you will no longer have the Sec +1. So that does make it where if you're using the Omni X, you'd probably want Master Tyrannomon or Voltramon or any of the ones that aren't Jazzerich, which makes things a little bit more complicated, but that's fine because realistically it is just 2 1-ofs. I really don't see anything wrong with dropping one of these 2 1-ofs. Sure, you're going to be evolving for 7, but if you're going to kill them anyway, like, lol. Although, I guess you're not really getting the blitz check. The only way the Omni X works is if you've managed to chip everything off them on the first swing. Or if, you know, your Rush Gilmon has come in and chipped away 1 or 2, the Omni X just means that your lethal clock is now putting them to 1. Because if you're swinging for 1 cost, if you're swinging and they're on 1 security, this will just take that last security and you'll hit them for lethal. It's not quite a Blitz Omni, but we don't have a Blitz Omni because you don't have something that still has Rush. So this as an extender works theoretically, but you could obviously cut it for anything in your toolbox that you want to see more of. Now that you have the Metal Greymon and you have a Growlmon, there's reason that if you needed to, I mean, you would never Evo, but like if you needed to cycle a bit, you could cycle a bit to find what you needed. So with 7 slots left to play with, you do have a little bit more flex room if you wanted to build out any other things. The other thing that we're currently missing are Tamers. In Derek's list, he was using the hero, but of course there is the option to run tie. If you start drifting more towards a more memory efficient Dorbick that starts coming down for 0 thanks to things like the Growlmon, the Metal Greymon, the Lavo, then you might actually decide that you want to run tie Kamiya. But I think the reason to run hero is with Royal Knights running around, you run the risk of swinging into something obscenely big. Dorbick, I mean, is missing from the list. Dorbick is only 12k, and without hero, you run the risk of just slamming head first into something much bigger than you and dying. Hero also has the benefit of stacking. Of course, so does tie, but hero always has the benefit of stacking. So if you need to run a Dorbick into security and you've had to pass multiple heroes, maybe someone hits one in security, now your Dorbick swings for 14, for 16, for 18, which is effectively jamming. And, you know, Joust is there to give you the +2, but Hero giving you the DP makes you a little bit more aggressive into security. So there are 2 flex spots to play with, Omnimon X and X Antibody. Still running the 2 ADP, the 4 Fireball, 2 Lightning Joust, 4 Hero of the Skies for your draw engine, And then we decided to go a little bit more memory efficient in terms of why play for 3? Why have to require a hero when you can Dorbit for 2, Dorbit for 1? Again, the rookies could be mucked around with a little bit more, so you're relying less on security. Maybe you could even throw in security Greymon. In terms of other options that you did want to run, if you did not want to run hero, you could potentially consider running ST15 Greymon. It is a dinosaur, so it can go into something. Obviously, you're not going to have raids, so you're not going to be able to get the +1 memory off of the Greymon. Unless there is an inherit that exists out there can just give raid. I don't think there's something that can make use of this just yet, but maybe soon. Greymon coming in here will allow you to play a tie out of security if you did want to maximize your security effects. Maybe you weren't liking the Cordramon, or you just wanted something that was a little bit more tangible in terms of getting tamers on the field, which stay tuned for the video that's going to be talking about cards that are more than just that 1-for-1. This Greymon will probably make an appearance alongside some other things like that, so look forward to that. If you did want to put this into your list, you could make it just a little bit more dangerous. But yeah, this is an adjusted version of Derek's list. Once again, thanks to Derek for sharing the list way back when. Go check the video. It's a very, very funny one. He is an interesting human. And this is Dorbickmon for 0. This is Digimon's Exodia. So that's going to be all for this topic talk. What do you think is the closest thing to Exodia besides Dorbickmon? Do you think there are any other contenders for out-of-hand OTKs that can kind of come out of nowhere? Of course, Special 5 out of raising and kill them dead is a very, very normal staple of the Digimon card game. But I want to know if there are any other strange OTKs that can come out of nowhere that you would like to see maybe broken down in a future video. If you liked this and you want to see more of these deep dives, these kind of weird deck analysis, make sure to let me know in the comments. If you've hatched yourself a Digi Egg of membership, then I very much appreciate all your support. For the rest of you though, if I say subscribe, does it make it glow underneath the bar? And if it does, you should click it. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.